Welcome to Balanced Bird Chatwa, and welcome. So today, we're going to break down the absolute essentials of your very first conversation in Mandarin Chinese. You know, if you've ever wanted to introduce yourself but just didn't know where to start, you are in exactly the right place. Let's jump right in.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the most basic, but maybe the most important part of any chat, the greeting. Then we'll get into names, where you're from, and then we're going to pull it all together so you can see how it works in real life. We'll wrap things up with some essential polite phrases. By the end of this, you're going to have a really solid foundation for that first introduction. First up, the greeting. You know, it's pretty much the key that unlocks every single conversation, so we've got to make sure we get this right.
So just picture this for a second. You're sitting down for a cup of tea, kind of like in this picture. You want to be friendly, you want to be open, ready to connect with someone new. And all of that starts with just one simple phrase.
And that phrase is 你好. Let's really nail this pronunciation. Both characters have what's called a third tone, which is kind of like a little dip, right? Your voice goes down, and then it comes right back up. Listen again. 你好. Okay, now you try it with me. 你好. One more time for good measure. 你好. This is your go-to all-purpose hello, and it's perfect for just about any situation.
All right, so you've said hello. Now what? Well, the next logical step is introducing yourselves. And in Mandarin, there's a really interesting and kind of important difference in how you talk about your family name versus your given name. It all comes down to these two key verbs you see right here, Xìng and Jiào.
Let's break this down. See on the left? Xìng is used only for your surname, your family name. For example, 我姓王 means my surname is Wang. Now look at the right. 叫 is for your given name. So you'd say 我叫妹妹, which means I am called Meimei. So the big takeaway here is 姓 for family name, 叫 for your given name. Simple as that.
Okay, let's zoom in on Xìng for a second. If you want to politely ask for someone's family name, you can say 请问你姓什么? That first part, 请问, is a super polite way to say, may I ask? It's incredibly useful. Let's hear that whole question one more time. 请问你姓什么? And now for Jiào. This is how you give your first name. It's really straightforward. For instance, you could just say, 我叫凯文. I am called Kaiwen. Nice and simple. Okay, here's a pro tip that's going to make you sound way more natural. In English, if someone asks, is your name John, you can just say, no, it isn't. Easy. But in Mandarin, when you're saying no with xing or jiao, you have to repeat the name. So if someone asks if your surname is Li, you can't just say 不姓, not surnamed. Nope, you have to say the whole thing. 不姓Li, not surnamed Li. This is one of those little things a lot of learners trip over. So if you can nail this, you're going to sound fantastic.
Okay, you've said hello, you've swapped names. What's next? Where you're from, of course. And for this, we need one of the most essential verbs in the entire language. 是.
This is the verb 是, and it just means to be. You know, like am, is, or are in English. It's got a falling tone, so your voice starts high and drops down. 是. You use it to connect two nouns to state a fact. For example, to say I am American, you'd say 我是美国人. Let's see how this works for some other nationalities.
Check out the beautiful pattern on this slide. It's so logical. You just take the name of the country, like Taiwan, and you add the character for person, which is Ren. So Taiwan becomes Taiwan Ren, a Taiwanese person. Meiguo, America, becomes Meiguo Ren, an American person. See? It's a really cool, logical system.
All right, we've got all the pieces of the puzzle. We have our greeting, we know how to talk about names, and we can say where we're from. It is time to put it all together. I'm going to role play a short dialogue for you. Just listen for all the parts we've learned and how they flow together. So, imagine two people meeting for the first time. Person A kicks things off with that essential greeting we learned, 你好.
你好，请问你姓什么？
我姓陈，你叫什么名字？
And person B comes back with their given name and then asks the question, 我叫妹妹，你是台湾人吗? Hey, did you catch that little word at the end, ma? That little guy is awesome. It magically turns a statement into a yes or no question. Super useful.
And finally, person A confirms 是的，我是台湾人, which just means, yes, I am Taiwanese. And boom! Just like that, they've had a complete, polite, successful introduction.
All right, last but not least, you can't have a good conversation without knowing how to wrap it up politely, right? So let's cover two words you absolutely have to know.
First up,
谢谢. This means thank you. Now, pay attention to the pronunciation here. The first 谢 is strong with a falling tone. The second one is super light and neutral. 谢谢. This is easily one of the most important words you'll ever learn.
And when someone says 谢谢 to you, the perfect polite response is 不客气, 不客气. It means you're welcome. Fun fact, it literally translates to something like don't be a guest or don't be so formal. It's just a really worn and friendly reply.
So there you have it, the greeting, names, nationality, and the polite closings. You now have the complete toolkit, all the building blocks for your first real conversation in Mandarin. The only question left is, who are you going to introduce yourself to?